Hello, and welcome to episode 13 of the Compassion and Cucumbers podcast. I'm Christine.
And I'm Sam.
And today we wanted just to talk a little bit about our holiday traditions, both old and new, both family traditions and traditions that we've come up with between the two of us. And so we just wanted to bring a little Christmas cheer and talk about that.
Absolutely. I mean, last week we talked a little bit about the concept of vegan gift giving and how that can be made simpler for you and your family. But when it comes down to it, this season is so much more than gift giving. And really, the important part is the time spent with family and friends and the traditions and memories that are created.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So we thought we would kind of just have a casual conversation between the two of us. We have no real idea where this is going to go. So I hope you enjoy the ride.
Sit back, buckle in, grab a hot cocoa.
Nice.
And some marshmallows, vegan, of course.
Mm-hmm.
And maybe, slip a little bit of schnapps in there.
Why not?
And enjoy the ride, yeah.
Absolutely.
All right. So you want to start? You want to talk about some of maybe your family traditions or?
Sure. Christmas was absolutely the big holiday in my family. You know, we didn't go crazy for other holidays. Thanksgiving, we did have my grandparents usually visiting, and we would visit my grandparents for Easter. But in terms of just the scope of the holiday, Christmas was the big one.
Yeah.
Yeah, and my parents did a really great job, I think, of kind of instilling in us the idea of magic and Santa Claus and all of that, which was really wonderful. And I have so many memories, good memories, connected with various Christmases throughout my childhood. And one very specific one, and of course this is going to have something to do with food, but I know, right?
Well, always, right?
Yeah, always. Food comes into it somehow. But one of my strongest memories, actually, of our Christmases as a kid, was that my brother and I were probably, 10 and 8 by the time we were doing this, and
yeah,
we would, of course, be up earlier than mom and dad, and we would sit at the top of the stairs, kind of trying to peek downstairs to see, what had transpired overnight.
Right.
And,
did Santa come?
Did Santa come? And, mom and dad would continually say from their bedroom, go back to bed, or, not yet, or
right.
Yeah, have to wait till 6,
right.
Whatever.
It's not even light out.
Right, exactly. So we would hear from them. But then eventually it would be, okay, you can go downstairs. And so there were, I don't know whether these were like unspoken rules or spoken rules, but they just kind of happened. And so Owen and I would be let loose on the first floor of the house, and our jobs were to light the fire in the fireplace. It was to put water on for tea, and my mom, I think, drank instant coffee at the time. And it was to heat up the oven because we were going to put Pillsbury cinnamon rolls.
There's a lot of fire involved for a couple of young kids.
Yeah, exactly. But
it's a miracle your house never burned down.
No, it never did. I mean, I think the closest we ever came was the microwave popcorn incident, but that was a completely different story.
Right.
So, anyway, so we're trying to, get things set up a little bit. And so once the fire is on and everything is lit and the water's boiling and we're getting ready to put the Pillsbury cinnamon rolls in the oven, then we would be allowed to check out what was in our stockings. Yeah, we were not allowed to look at anything under the tree, but we could then go through our stockings.
Yeah, the stockings were fair game.
They were, yeah. And I think it was because, just that, those little bits of preparation combined with, okay, now you can look at your stocking. They probably gave my parents at least a half an hour, maybe up to about 45 minutes of time for them to kind of sleep just a little bit more and prepare themselves
Right.
for the day.
For the onslaught.
Yeah, for the onslaught that was shortly to come.
Yeah.
And but one of the things that I've carried over through my Christmases and our Christmases is the idea of the Pillsbury cinnamon rolls. There's something about the smell of those ridiculously overprocessed, super sweet cinnamon rolls,
Right.
baking on Christmas morning, that it's just not to be beat.
Yeah,
Like,
we've adopted that tradition too.
yes,
Yeah.
yes.
But since Pillsbury cinnamon rolls are not vegan, we've made our own.
We have. So last year, and this was really fun because we were hosting my family's Christmas last year. And so my niece and I actually made the cinnamon rolls together. Christine and I had done a test run on our own Christmas. So when the family Christmas celebrations happened a few days later, my niece and I made these together, and it was, a beautiful, simple dough and lots of melted vegan butter and sugar and cinnamon just rolled up and sliced and tossed in the oven. And they were really, really fantastic. And I would like to thank the Minimalist Baker for the recipe that I used.
That's right. Yeah. Minimalist Baker. You can find it on their website, minimalistbaker.com.
Yes, absolutely.
They were really good.
They were really, really good.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, obviously, anything that you're going to make homemade is going to surpass anything that's coming out of a
oh, yeah. So much better than the Pillsbury one.
Air-packed can.
Yeah. I mean, I know that there's something nostalgic for you
definitely.
about the Pillsbury ones,
Yes.
but those homemade ones were wow. They were really good.
Yeah. This year, though, it's interesting because, of course, the cinnamon rolls will have to make an appearance on our Christmas morning. But we actually found a vegan variety.
We did.
Of ready-made
in a
cinnamon
can.
roll dough. In a can, that
like
vacuum-packed can that kind of explodes when you
Do you remember
open it.
what brand, or should I scoot to the refrigerator and get them?
You don't have to scoot to the refrigerator. I believe that the name of the brand is Immaculate.
Where did we get those at the vegan grocery store?
No, we did not. We got those through GTFO.
Okay. I think I saw them.
Well, the thing was,
vegan grocery store.
No, we saw them at Tops.
No kidding.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Because it was just a few days after we had gotten our most recent GTFO order, and
it's all coming back to me now. I do remember it was in the small Whole Foods section at our Tops market. Yeah,
absolutely. Yeah. So Immaculate cinnamon rolls. We've not tried them yet.
We'll have to report back.
Certainly.
Hopefully they're not awful.
I'm sure they won't be awful.
No, a cinnamon roll is kind of something that's hard to mess up. It's dough and sugar and cinnamon
and butter.
So
yeah, it's there's not a whole lot that can go wrong there.
Yeah.
But yes, we'll definitely give you a report on how those cinnamon rolls were. But that's always something that, as we're going down our list of preparing for the celebratory days around Christmas, and our Christmas gets stretched out a little bit. We usually have about a week's worth of Christmas celebrations between our two families.
Yeah, which is kind of nice. It's like, it is like a week,
I love it.
Sometimes 2 weeks of Christmas.
Yeah, we've gotten close to that.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and it's really quite lovely. But those cinnamon rolls are just always on the list.
It's funny. That memory of the cinnamon rolls is so ingrained in you. And I remember one time we were talking to your brother about it, and he kind of almost doesn't even remember having them.
I know. It's so weird.
Yeah, it's weird what kids
different people remember. Yeah, so I'm really curious to know, like, what his standout memories of, a typical Kenny Christmas morning are.
Yeah, we'll have to ask him that.
Yeah, we will.
Yeah.
We will. Because we don't share that memory for some reason.
Yeah, it's weird. I mean, he's only what is he? Not even 2 years younger than you.
Just over 2 years
Just
younger.
over 2 years younger. So it's not like he's that much younger that he
No.
wouldn't remember, you
No,
know?
absolutely not.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm sure he remembers the Christmas that Dad fell down the stairs. I'm sure he remembers, the many Christmases that we made a blanket fort in his bunk beds and, stayed up pretty
Yeah.
much all night.
Waiting for Santa.
Yeah, listening to what was going on and waiting for Santa. And I have no doubt that he has those types of memories. He just does not have a strong memory of the cinnamon rolls like I do.
Yeah, it's funny. Yeah, when I was younger, my sister is 3 years older than me. And we kind of had a similar thing in the morning with opening stock. We weren't playing with fire all morning like you guys were, but I think my parents didn't really quite trust us as much as your parents trusted you. We would get up. I think my dad would start the percolator because that was before, when we were young, it was before everybody had a drip coffee maker.
Yep.
So I think my dad would put on the coffee pot on the stove, and my parents would kind of wake up a little bit, and we were allowed to open our stockings. But I think they would come out and open their stockings too, along with us, while they drank their coffee and tried to wake up from their long night before, putting toys together and wrapping gifts and stuff like that.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, and our parents would do the same thing. Once we knew that, things were set up and ready to go and coffee was available and tea was available, we'd kind of holler up to the parents to say, come on down.
Yeah.
And they, of course, would then come and open their stockings as well.
Yeah. But we didn't have cinnamon rolls or anything. I know we ate something. Maybe my mom made a pie or coffee cake or something. I know there was some kind of sweet breakfasty type, but I don't think it was cinnamon rolls. I'll have to ask my sister about that.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
Definitely.
But yeah, we would always start.
To know.
We would always start with definitely with the stockings, and that would take us, because my mother would wrap our stocking stuffers.
Smart.
So that would take us, I don't know, maybe an hour.
Exactly. Exactly.
I mean, to open and look at and play with and whatever, put the chapstick on or
for sure.
decide what flavor of Lifesaver we wanted out of the Lifesaver wish book thing.
There you go.
I think everybody got that back then. That folded in half.
Oh, yeah, I remember
and it had
that.
6 packs of Lifesavers on each side.
Yep.
Yeah.
I remember that.
Yeah. That was cool. Mm-hmm. Yeah. So that would take a while before we would actually start digging into the gifts.
Right.
Yeah.
Cool.
Cool. Cool. What other Christmas morning traditions did you have?
Christmas morning traditions. Well, once we got past the cinnamon rolls, there was, of course, the opening of the gifts under the tree. And that was, always everyone's favorite part.
Do you remember if you each opened one at a time, or did everybody get one gift and you opened them all at the same time?
I think we pretty much each got one gift and opened them at the same time. I don't seem to recall one person being in the spotlight at any one time.
Yeah, I think that's what we did too.
Yeah, exactly.
Everybody get a gift and now open.
Right.
Yeah.
Yep, for sure. And, we tried all different ways of kind of marking gifts as who they belong to. I know that there was at least one year where my mom coordinated everybody's wrapping paper. So, I had my own wrapping paper, and Mom had her own wrapping paper, and Dad had his own wrapping paper, and my brother had his own wrapping paper. I didn't love that just because it didn't provide for enough aesthetic variety under the tree. I have a thing for aesthetic variety in wrapping paper.
Yes. For those of you out there that don't know Sam personally, she has a rule where she doesn't wrap a single gift in the same paper that she's wrapped another gift in.
Now, allow me to clarify that. That is a single gift for the same
person. Yeah.
So, for example, if I'm wrapping gifts for Christine, every single one of Christine's gifts will have a different wrapping paper.
Right.
However, if we are going to Christine's sister for the gift opening ceremonies, someone could have the wrapping paper that I was using for Christine.
Oh, right.
At home.
That's allowed.
Yeah, that's allowed. So, but no two gifts within any family will be wrapped in the same paper. Yeah.
So thusly, or therefore, I don't know what word I'm looking for. Because of that,
ergo,
we have a very large assortment of wrapping paper. We have 2 large wrapping paper keeper plastic wrapping, the large bins that hold wrapping paper. I mean, I know but we have 2 of those packed full. And I don't think we bought paper last year.
We didn't buy paper last year. We didn't buy paper this year. And we are in the process of thinning out.
We're thinning the herd.
We are. We're thinning the herd.
Yeah.
Yes. Although both of us the other day when we were out shopping for other reasons, we're both kind of longingly looking at the wrapping paper.
I know. We're like, no, we must get rid of some of the paper we have.
We can't shop for wrapping paper until next year.
Until there's room in the containers for more wrapping paper.
Yep.
Really?
Agreed.
Yeah. I'm not buying another container because we did that. We already went that route.
Right.
We're like, well, we need another container to hold wrapping paper. And wouldn't it make more sense to just stop buying wrapping paper?
Well, there's that, but,
Oh, man, that's funny.
Yeah. But yeah. So
there is so many cute wrapping papers out there,
So many.
I like the ones that are reversible.
I do too.
So you can especially if you have your rule where you can't wrap 2 gifts for the same person in the same paper, you can still use the same roll. You just flip it over.
Flip it over.
It's really time saving.
Yes. The double-sided rolls are really great.
Yeah.
I have to say.
Where did we get those? Target?
I think so. Yes. We've had the best luck with wrapping paper from Target in general.
It's a good quality. I also like my wrapping paper. If it's not reversible, I like for it to have the lines, the grid on the back.
Yes.
For cutting purposes.
Definitely helpful.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
Definitely helpful.
And a good pair of scissors.
Yes.
Are a must.
Yes.
And I like a desktop tape dispenser, like a heavy desktop tape dispenser, so I can one-handed do tape. You're not that picky about that, but you are picky about what type of tape.
I am picky about the type of tape.
Yeah.
Yes. Especially because, when we're talking about various finishes of wrapping paper, you want the tape that really disappears.
Yeah, because some of the tape, if it's like a foily paper, will show up really a lot.
If it's either a foily paper or if it's a very natural looking paper, if it's essentially brown paper,
right? Like that kind of old fashioned kind of
those
butcher paper,
those printed butcher paper type wrapping papers as well. I don't want the tape to show.
Well, yeah, nobody really does.
Right.
But I'm not that picky about it.
No.
But I am picky about having my desktop weighted tape dispenser.
Yes, I am not picky about the weighted tape dispenser. Just the quality of the tape that goes into it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But we're getting off track. Those aren't really traditions. Well, I mean, I guess it's a tradition to buy way too much wrapping paper.
It is. Yeah.
But so what other, what was your Christmas Day, after gifts were open and everything?
After gifts were open.
Traditionally, what happened?
So traditionally, after we did the opening of the gifts, there would kind of be, I could call it a lull, but that would really be a misnomer. It felt almost like halftime.
Right. Your mom was probably in the kitchen.
Right. So,
and you guys were quietly playing with your toys.
Right. So more years than not, my parents would host a Christmas Day brunch.
Okay.
So this was late morning, really all the way through the rest of the day and into the evening. We called it a brunch, but it turned into an all-day affair.
Yeah.
And so their friends and my friends and their families and my brother's friends and their families would come over and eat and drink and talk and make merry and all of that stuff. And in that time period, it was, okay, Sam and Owen, take some of your gifts up to your room and put them away and help us get the food ready and make sure X, Y, and Z are set out and make sure everybody is dressed and ready to go. And yeah. So
yeah, we
had halftime
thing. We did a similar halftime-y kind of thing. I would decide which gift I got that I would hide from my cousins because I didn't want them to break it. And we would put some of our gifts away, and arrange them nicely under the tree so that it wasn't a disaster area when families started coming over. Because my parents also hosted. When we were younger, it seemed like it was forever. It seemed like people started showing up around, I don't know, maybe noon or 1 o'clock. And then there were people in the house till late at night, usually.
Yeah.
Yeah. And all my cousins and friends of my parents would be there and their kids. And sometimes some of my friends would come if they were done spending time with their families or whatever. If they were just, like from the neighborhood, pop in just to see what you got. Right. Especially if you like got something really cool. Like a Hot Wheels racetrack or or something like that.
That's awesome.
Or the one year I got a pinball machine.
Oh,
I mean, it was plastic and everything, but it was cool.
Yeah.
It was really cool. Yeah. And my friend Frank came over to play with the pinball machine. That was fun.
That is cool.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, I never had a pinball machine.
Yeah. It was pretty cool.
Awesome.
I was probably, I don't know, 11. Maybe Lucy's age.
Sounds about right.
Yeah. Okay, so that was Christmas Day.
Yeah.
Oh, my family, did you have a Christmas Eve tradition?
We did. Christmas Eve almost always involved midnight mass. And prior to midnight mass, we would go stop in at a friend of my parents, who were very Italian and did sausage and peppers on...
They were very Italian.
Very Italian. And they did sausage and peppers on Christmas Eve.
Interesting.
Yeah. And so we would stop by for sausage and peppers. We would hang out for a little while before going to mass.
Mass. Okay.
Yeah. On Christmas Eve.
Yeah. When I was young, it was my mother's parents that we went to. And my grandma, was that when we did the raviolis? See, the raviolis is actually from my father's side of the family. But I think that my mother's side of the family adopted that tradition.
Smart.
Through my father.
Tradition.
And I'm pretty sure. Yeah. I mean, that was just one of the things because my grandmother always made enough food for 300 people. It's an Italian thing.
There you go.
Right. So we'd have raviolis. I think she would make a ham, maybe even a turkey, or I don't know. There was a whole lot of food. But yeah, the raviolis tradition, I believe, was the Christmas Eve thing. And we would exchange gifts with family. And some people would go to midnight mass. And I don't know how we stayed up so late. I mean, even as kids, we were up. Everybody was still up and partying and whatever. And, until like, I don't know, like well past midnight. And then my parents would have to go home and finish wrapping gifts and put bikes together or whatever we were getting. And they were up till probably 3 or
At
something.
least.
And then I woke them up at 6,
of course,
go back to bed. But, yeah, we always had a big dinner with the family on Christmas Eve, but not at our house. It was, it was usually at my grandmother's. And then, after my grandmother passed, then I believe it was my Aunt Pat took over. That's when my Aunt Pat took over the tradition. And, my Aunt Pat and my Uncle Chuck would host the Christmas Eve. And we would go to their house and stay and stay and stay. Yeah. They had horses. And when we were younger, my Uncle Chuck would tell us at Christmas Eve at midnight, the animals talk. So he would take us all the kids, he'd bundle all the kids up. And it was always snowy then.
Yeah.
The 70s, it was just snow all the time. And he would bundle all the kids up and we would traipse through the snow down to the barn and wait for the animals to talk.
That's so awesome.
And he would be like, we must have missed it.
Oh.
I don't know if he looked at his watch and then, it's 2 minutes after midnight. We must have missed it.
Oh.
But it was always, we would do it every time.
Of course.
We would still get excited about it every time.
Absolutely.
But we always missed it.
Well, that's okay. You miss these things.
Yeah. So that was fun. And that's kind of a tradition.
That's really cool.
Yeah.
I like that a lot.
And we were older then. Well, like teenagers. But there were a lot of younger cousins
Right.
that he could fool. So, yeah.
Well, if the teenagers were still going out to the barns, he had all of you guys fooled too. So
maybe we were still a little fooled.
I'm pretty sure.
I mean,
you
it was
were.
worth it. You know, it was worth a shot.
Yeah.
I want to hear the horses talk.
Who doesn't?
Yeah. But no, they never did. So yeah, that was Christmas Eve. And then Christmas Day we talked about. And then people stayed and stayed and stayed. And then Christmas Day, I don't know how we like squeezed in so much, because then at one point Christmas Day, or maybe it was the day after Christmas, we would then like what they used to call round robin to like everybody we knew, see their tree, see all the gifts they got, you know, like go to all my parents' friends' house and see what all their kids got and see their tree and maybe have some pie and coffee or whatever and spend a couple hours there and then pack up and move to the next person's house and see their tree and see everything that they got. And we would do that like for an entire day. So maybe it was, I'll have to ask my sister because she might remember better than I do. It might have been the day after Christmas that we did that.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's intense.
Yeah, we would go see everybody.
Yeah. I'm glad that we didn't have anything like that, because I really like the idea of Christmas also being, you know, downtime. I
Right.
like it to be calm and cozy. And so, you know, as my brother and I've gotten older, and obviously as my parents have gotten older, and you know, they've handed over hosting responsibilities to either my brother or I. We
Right.
swap every year.
Yeah, we swap.
And you know, things have just gotten smaller, which I really, really love.
Yeah, things in our family have gotten smaller because my family has gotten smaller.
Yep.
You know, my parents are no longer with us. Of course, my grandparents have been long gone. And it was just me and my sister. So now it's just me and my sister and her family and
Right.
you.
Yeah.
So yeah, we just every year we get smaller.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, and I don't mind the small Christmas. I mean, I don't mind not having all that big to do. I really don't.
Right.
I mean, I do like looking back at all the things that we did and all the traditions that we had. And, but the amount of work that went into it for my mother and my sister, when she started doing Christmas Day, when everybody was still coming over and we were doing gifts for everybody. And, it's so much work and stress, you know? And then my mother, back then was also working, and she was a florist, and that's like one of the busiest times of year. So she was working, you know, like working 13-hour days and still doing all the Christmas shopping because, you know, my parents were kind of traditional. You know, they grew up in the 50s, so they had kind of a traditional marriage when we were younger. My mom did all the cooking and all the cleaning and all the gift buying and all the wrapping. I'm sure my dad helped with the wrapping, but my mom did the majority of it. Yeah.
Yeah. No, I think my mom and dad shared wrapping duties. Although I know that at one point Owen and I were permitted to wrap each other's presents.
Yeah, I have this vague recollection of doing that too, maybe when we were teenagers.
Yeah. And
Yeah.
I don't know if I think it was a one-time thing. For some reason, you know, Mom just was not feeling wrapping the Christmas presents that year. And so she said, you know what, I'm going to give you a few rolls of paper and you wrap Owen's presents, and I'm going to give Owen a few rolls of paper and he's going to wrap your presents. And then, of course, you know, for however many days it was left till Christmas, we were just looking at each other like, I know what you're getting.
I know what you're getting. Ooh, you're going to like what you're getting.
I know what you're getting. Yeah. So I do remember doing that at least once. I don't remember if it was a recurring thing or not. Yeah, I do. I like that Christmas has become a little bit smaller.
Yeah. And COVID has a lot to do with that too.
Yeah, it really does. No, I just like that now. Well, I mean, okay, I think about the way we were doing Christmas when you and I were first dating, and we were trying to squeeze 3 full Christmas experiences into the space of 2 days.
Yeah.
And not
with
even
travel.
And not even 2 days, because you of course worked Christmas Eve.
Right.
And then I would pick you up from work and we would go to your sister's for the standard Christmas Eve festivities.
Right.
where there would
For
be
the ravioli.
for the ravioli, gotta
and my Aunt Pat's lasagna.
and Aunt Pat's lasagna. You gotta have the ravs. You gotta have the lasagna.
Yeah.
And then we would drive home an hour, wake up in the morning, have our own Christmas
Right.
celebration.
Yeah.
Okay, and then drive back down to
My sisters.
your sisters.
Yep.
For the Christmas Day
Christmas Day celebration.
Yes.
And then pack up and drive to Pittsburgh.
To Pittsburgh for
To be with your
my
family.
family's celebrations.
Yeah.
And that order was never exactly the same. So
Yeah.
sometimes it would be spend Christmas Eve with your family, drive to Pittsburgh, spend
Right.
Christmas morning with my family, drive
Drive
back to Erie
to Erie.
to spend Christmas afternoon with your family,
that
and
was
then drive home
ridiculous.
and pass out.
Why did we do that?
Well, because we were trying to make sure that we saw everybody equally.
Yeah.
You know, and so then my family, a few years into this chaos, because we kind of said, you know, we can't spend.
I know we're not getting enough time with anybody.
No, we're not.
You know?
The point of the holiday is the time spent with everyone. So,
Absolutely.
you know, we feel like we're really missing out here.
Yeah.
So fortunately, my family was able to develop our own tradition. We now have Kenny Christmas.
We have Kenny Christmas, and it can fall on any day.
On any day.
Yeah.
It's usually somewhere in the week between Christmas and New Year.
Usually.
But
But we've even waited till after New Year's.
We have waited until after New Year. We've actually, once we did it before Christmas.
Oh, yeah, we did.
Yeah. We
Yep.
did do a pre-Christmas Kenny Christmas
Yep.
one year. So it can go anywhere, and we just figure out where it works best for everyone.
Right.
And so now for us, that kind of 1-2 punch of Christmas Eve, Christmas Day has softened a little bit
Yeah.
because one, with you being retired,
Yeah.
we get to spend much of the day in kind of cozy mode
Right.
on Christmas Eve. And then we head to your sisters.
Yeah.
Yes, we come back. But this year we've decided we're doing our own Christmas, our own gift exchange the day after Christmas.
after Christmas.
So that means that Christmas morning will be mellow, and then we'll go back to Linda's that afternoon, and
Yeah.
then, of course, come home again. So it has slowed things down a little bit.
Yeah.
Which,
because
I really enjoy.
Yeah, I mean, we want to have enough time to spend with people where we're not worried about getting someplace else, you know? Yeah, so that's what we do now.
For sure.
Now, back to traditions.
Well,
What?
You almost just passed one over.
What's that?
If there is one tradition we have to talk about with your family, it is Ravioli Day.
Oh, Ravioli Day. Yeah, if there's any other Italians out there that do raviolis. I know we're not the only ones that do raviolis at Christmas, but one of our favorite days takes place usually a few weeks before Christmas or 2 weeks before Christmas, and that's the day we make all the raviolis.
Yes.
And we do a meat ravioli and a cheese ravioli, and now that we're vegan, we do a vegan ravioli.
Yes.
And I think we did vegan cheese raviolis
We did.
last year. No, 2 years,
2 years
ago.
ago.
My mother passed last year, so
There were no raviolis.
there were no
last year.
raviolis. So yeah, Ravioli Day is one of everybody's favorite days. We
it's
we
great.
listen to Christmas music. We have adult beverages.
Yes.
My nephew makes the ravioli dough.
He
'cause
is the dough master.
He's the dough master. He was taught by my father how to make the ravioli dough. And so he makes the ravioli dough. My sister and I make the fillings. And then we sit around the table and sing Christmas carols and joke and laugh and make, I don't
Fill
know,
and crimp a couple hundred
hundred raviolis.
Yeah.
Yep. Yeah. And then with the leftover filling, we make like burgers, and with the leftover dough, we make pasta, and we eat that for supper after we're all done working. And that's everybody's favorite meal.
Yeah. It really is
Yeah.
one of everyone's favorite meals of the year, favorite family meals of the year.
Yeah.
And I know that the first time I was invited to the ravioli making, and was
Which is it's a place of honor.
It is. Not everyone gets invited to the ravioli
It's true.
making. So the first time that I was invited to the making of the ravs was really awesome, and I think it was the first time that I really, really felt like part of your family.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's cool.
Yeah.
We let the Irish girl make the ravioli.
Right?
She did a good job, too.
That's right.
Yep.
That's right.
Yeah. So, yeah, I'm glad you didn't let me skip over that because, yeah, that's definitely an important tradition in my family.
It really is.
Yeah, that tradition comes from my great-grandmother on my father's side.
Yep.
The Christmas ravioli.
And I know that I remember after your dad died, there being a bit of question as to whether or not we would continue with the Rav tradition.
Yeah.
And, because your mother didn't even really like the raviolis.
My mom doesn't even really like them.
Linda's not crazy about them either.
She's not. I love them.
I love them too. And so does Trey. And so, all of you were kind of vacillating back and forth on the Rav thing.
Yeah.
And Trey and I were just like, no, we're doing the Ravs.
Yeah. My dad wouldn't have wanted us to not do them.
That's right. He would not have.
Yeah.
That was a big day for him. And he loved that day.
Yeah.
And so to not do it just because he was no longer with us, that would have had him kind of pissed off.
I think it would have too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And that was a great Rav day.
It was. It was. And, we sat around and we told stories about my dad and remembered previous ravioli days. And yeah, it was a good time.
And then the lights flickered.
That's right. The lights flickered. Yep. And we're like, hi, Dad.
Yep.
He's here. He's here with us, making sure we're doing it right.
That's right. That's right. Because if we weren't, he'd tell us.
Yeah, he would. Yeah. So now that my parents are gone, some of those long-standing traditions are kind of morphing, in part because it's emotionally, it's hard to do those things. And in part because we're smaller now. We're a smaller group of people. And so we're kind of learning how to make our own new traditions with this new family dynamic that we have now that my sister and I are orphans, And I mean, I kind of like now we're doing, instead of everybody buying for everybody, we're doing a Secret Santa.
And I love the Secret Santa.
Oh, me too. I think it takes a lot of pressure off.
It really does. It really does. I mean, and especially, looking at the members of your family and looking at the members of my family, when it comes down to it, there's not a whole lot that we absolutely need, So
no,
it's
materially,
materially, it's not like we can make these huge lists of things that we desperately need,
right?
And sure, things that we wouldn't mind having or that would be useful to us, but not need. And so, it does take a lot of the pressure off. And I enjoy the way that we are doing the Secret Santa, or have the past 2 years. Yeah.
Well, because of COVID, we didn't get together for Thanksgiving. Was it last year or a year before?
It was last year.
Last year. So I found this app where you can, plug in people's names and their email addresses, and then you can limit so that partners aren't buying for partners. And then it sends everybody an email, it tells them to RSVP to the Secret Santa. Mm-hmm. And then you choose when you want to draw the names, and it sends everybody an email with the person's name that they're buying for.
Yep.
Yeah. And every year something gets messed up.
Yes.
Not because of the app, but because of us humans. Like this year, my sister didn't recognize the name that was on my nephew's email. And she thought that our Secret Santa had been hacked. She's like, Houston? She sent me a text. Houston, we have a problem. And she sent me the name that she got. Well, she sent that text in a group text along with my nephew. And I'm like, that's Trey. Trey's like, that's me. And I'm like, okay, so welcome to the not so secret Secret Santa. The cat's out of the bag. We know who you have now.
Yeah. Yeah.
Every year somebody, it's really not a Secret Santa. People are putting their names on the gifts. I'm like, people, this is a Secret Santa.
No, gifts are from Santa.
Yeah. But people put their names on them.
Well, last year, yeah. They did.
So, you wouldn't think it would be so difficult to get six, sometimes 7
adults
if my uncle decides he wants to be a part of it.
Right.
Yeah. To make it through a Secret Santa poll, all it is taking names out of a hat and buying a gift for that person and not telling them who it is. But every year something happens. It's kind of funny.
I think it's pretty great.
Yeah, but so that's a new tradition that we started after my dad died. My mom was involved in the Secret Santa, and she didn't seem to mind that we did it that way instead of buying gifts for everybody.
Well, I mean, we didn't start that immediately after your dad died.
No.
It took a couple of years to evolve, and I think it was because the idea of your mom, ordering or buying gifts and then wrapping them.
Yeah, she wasn't able.
Just wasn't really able to do
she
it
wasn't
anymore.
able to do all that.
So,
So to make things simpler, yeah. I forget even if we proposed it or.
I think we did.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think
so then at Thanksgiving, we would pull names.
Right.
Yeah. But every year I think we've been doing this for 4 years now, 3 years now. Every year something happens to screw it up a little bit. For sure. But it's still fun.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it wouldn't be us if something didn't go slightly askew.
Yes. So this year it's the not so secret Santa.
Right. Yeah. Well, I mean, and I suppose that brings us to the kind of generic tradition of having something go askew in some way, shape, or form. Like, for example, this year, what went a little bit askew was our procurement of our Christmas tree.
Oh, yeah.
Yes. So we are diehards for live Christmas trees.
Right.
We do not have an artificial tree. And so the day that we go out and get
Not
the
yet.
tree, it's not going to happen. So the day
I guess as long as we're physically able to bring a tree into the house.
That's right.
Yeah.
You talk like we're 80. We're not 80.
Not yet.
No, not even close.
This tree
to
was
it.
a struggle, I'll tell you.
Well, this one was a little challenging, I have to admit. But yes, so we go to a local Christmas tree farm and we cut down our tree and we bring it home. And it's actually one of my favorite days of the year. I love decorating the tree.
Tree day is fun.
Tree day is great. And so we did that this year. We found a perfect tree. Christine has an incredible eye for choosing the perfectly shaped tree.
At least the last couple of years.
Yeah.
And this one's perfectly shaped.
It is.
It's just a little on the large side.
Right. This is the first tree that we've had that we had trouble getting it into the house.
While it was bound up.
Exactly.
It was bound up and we barely got it through the door.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So then, and the reason is when we were at the tree farm, we had snow the day before.
Yeah.
So the trees all had snow, which was lovely. They were beautiful.
Beautiful.
But because of the snow being on the tree, it kind of weighed it down a little bit and it didn't look as large as it actually is. When we got it home and got it in the stand and the snow melted off of it, it is now twice as big as what it looked like when it was in the field. Mm-hmm. Wide. It's not taller. I mean, you can cut a tree down, but to make it shorter if you need to. But it's a lot wider than I thought it was.
And it's great.
Yeah.
I love it.
No, it's beautiful. We're going to have a hard time getting it out. That's the only issue.
Yes.
Yeah.
But that's fine. We'll
Yeah.
manage.
We'll figure it out somehow.
Absolutely.
Like I'll bring the chainsaw in the house.
Absolutely. I mean, at least we didn't go as far as my brother. My
Right,
brother
he also had a problem.
Actually, chose a tree that was literally too large for his living room.
Yeah, he said it was a little National Lampoon.
Kind of full, a lot of sap.
Yeah, kind of full, a lot of sap. Yeah, so he actually had to get a second tree because,
Yes.
of course, once you can't return a tree that you cut down at a tree farm. So I told him to set it up in the yard. I don't know if he'll get around to doing that.
I really hope
but
he does.
That would be fun.
That would be great.
Yeah.
And we'll find out in a couple of weeks
Yeah,
because
I
that's
told him
where we are
go to a
spending
dollar
Christmas.
store or whatever and buy a bunch of plastic ornaments and decorate it in the yard. Set it up in the yard and decorate it.
Yep. Well, we'll see if he took your advice in just about 2 weeks from now.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
for sure.
So, so here are some traditions that we've veganized. Number one was the raviolis.
Well, number one was the cinnamon rolls.
Number one was the cinnamon rolls.
Number two is the raviolis.
Number two is the raviolis.
Yes.
Yes. We did a vegan cheese ravioli, and this year, we decided we weren't actually. I got my dates mixed up, so we couldn't be there because my niece had a play that she was doing, and I got my dates mixed up. So my sister and her son and his girlfriend and her husband, they not the girlfriend's husband, my sister's husband, because That just sounded wrong.
Yeah, the order
My
was a
sister
little
and
off.
brother-in-law and their son, my nephew, and my nephew's girlfriend got together, and they decided, because the best part of ravioli day is the leftover meal that you have after you make the raviolis, that they were skipping actually making the raviolis and just making the fillings and eating them. So that's what they did. My sister got Beyond Burger and vegan cheese, and she was nice enough to make extra so we could pick some up when we were on our way back from Pittsburgh. Mm-hmm. We picked some up. She made us a couple of extra ravioli burgers, and some salad with vegan feta and apples and stuff. It was really nice of her to think of us that way, because I screwed the dates up really badly. Okay, so that's number 2. Number 1, cinnamon rolls. Mm-hmm. Number 2, ravioli. Mm-hmm. Well, we just did the ravioli fillings.
Yeah.
Number 3 is the lasagna that my aunt used to make.
Yeah.
Which this thing was loaded with meat. I think it had ground beef, sausage, pepperoni. She used to put so much meat in this. Anyway, my nephew has veganized that recipe.
Yes.
And makes vegan ravioli. I think he also makes one for the omnivores too.
Yeah, I think
if I
he
remember
does.
right.
I think he does, because he is somewhat vegan by proxy.
Right.
But whenever he has the opportunity, he will eat meat. He just doesn't do it on a regular basis because his girlfriend with whom he lives is vegan. So,
right. So that's number 3.
So he'll usually make one vegan lasagna and one omnivore lasagna.
Right.
And those are consumed as Christmas Day dinner.
Right.
Yes.
Yes. What other traditional foods have we vegan? Well, there's cookies.
Well, yes, obviously cookies. We used to, before the pandemic, do a massive baking weekend.
Yeah.
Just before Christmas, like maybe about 2 weeks before Christmas. And we would make enough cookies for all of my colleagues and our friends and our families. And seriously, couple thousand cookies in the space of a weekend. And it was great. Sometimes it was just me and Christine, and sometimes it was me and Christine and her sister Linda, which was also great.
Yeah, that was fun.
That third set of hands, man, got a lot done.
Yep.
And there were always certain standards that we would do. There would always be peanut butter blossoms. There will always be at least 2 varieties of chocolate chip cookies. There will always be those incredible thumbprints.
The thumbprints,
yes, the incredible butter thumbprints that we do.
Vegan butter.
Vegan butter, of course. But several years ago, I want to say it's about 5 or 6 years ago, we also started doing bark.
Oh, right.
Yes, because not all of us in the family need the carbs that come with the flour and the sugar that you're putting into the cookies, but you still want a sweet snack. So bark is actually really great because you can pare that down to really just chocolate and nuts and dried fruit, and you can make fabulous things out of it.
Yeah.
But of course, if you're making bark, one of the things you have to make is peppermint bark.
Okay.
And so I started making peppermint bark a few years ago.
One of the cats is misbehaving. Sorry about that.
Per usual. So I started making peppermint bark. And for some reason, completely unexpectedly, our niece, who was at the time maybe 7, fell in love with it.
Yeah.
And she would just carry around the plate of peppermint bark with her around the house, or if the plate was empty and she'd want more, we'd have to get her the Ziploc bag where the, reserve peppermint bark was hiding.
I remember, I think the first year you made the peppermint bark, there was not a moment when I did not see a piece of peppermint bark in that kid's hand.
Yes, absolutely.
I'm like, holy cow, that kid's eating a lot of chocolate.
Yes, absolutely. So
it's Christmas. It's all right. So she won't sleep for a week. It'll be fine.
Exactly. And so now it really has become, whenever my brother is hosting Kenny Christmas, as he is this year.
Yeah.
One of Lucy's first questions is, are you bringing bark?
Are you bringing the bark?
Because you're not allowed in the house if you don't bring the bark. So, of course, now we do our peppermint bark Peppermint Bark in a vegan version.
Right.
So we get vegan chocolate chips, and there are some wonderful retailers that sell vegan candy melts. And so we do vegan candy melts in vanilla and dark chocolate. We do dairy-free white chocolate chips and vegan dark chocolate chips and peppermint extract and crushed candy canes, and off we go. And we have our traditional yet vegan peppermint bark.
Yep. I couldn't stop thinking that Bringing the Bark sounds like a Snoop Dogg album. Hey man, have you checked out Snoop? Snoop just dropped his new album. What's it called? Bringing the Bark.
Okay.
Oh man, that's funny. So yeah, we have veganized a lot of our traditional foods.
Right.
Yeah.
Yes. I mean, I know, so yes, I will be making our vegan peppermint bark in the not too distant future.
Yeah.
And also, completely by accident, I came across a new twist on a chocolate chip cookie. For some reason, I love baking cookies in general, but for some reason, I have a special gift with chocolate chip cookies.
Yeah.
I don't know why, but you can give Chris and I the exact same recipe for chocolate chip cookies, and we can put it together in the exact same way.
Yeah, and yours will taste better.
And mine will...
You're better. Well, you're the baker.
Well,
You're the baker in the family. You're the baker, and I'm the cook.
There we go.
That's how it works.
Yep. So, but I was making some chocolate chip cookies last year and realized mid-process that I was out of vanilla extract. And so you can't have a chocolate chip cookie without vanilla extract.
Right.
And I didn't want to run to the store. And so I scrounged through the cupboard to see what else I could find. And I wound up with some almond extract instead. And so I replaced the vanilla extract with almond extract. And in addition to putting chocolate chips in the recipe, I also added in some really beautiful dried cherries.
Yeah, it was a happy accident.
It was a very happy accident.
Yeah.
So I will probably be making those cherry vanilla almond chocolate chip cookies.
Yeah.
Again,
That'll be good.
This
That'll
year.
be good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
For sure.
So are there any other traditions you want to talk about before we wrap things up?
I mean, I like some of the simple traditions that you and I have come up with over the years.
Yeah.
You know, I think it was at our second Christmas together that we decided that we get to open one gift on Christmas Eve, and that gift is always this year's Christmas pajamas.
Yeah.
So that's been totally fun.
Yeah,
that's
I love that.
Not something that my family ever did.
Neither
and
did mine.
I really loved it. I really do love it. And I do like our road cocoa tradition.
Right. We have a tradition when we travel to other family at the holidays. We make hot cocoa and we put a little schnapps in it.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. It actually
Peppermint
started with Bailey's Irish cream.
Right. Bailey's Irish cream
for
is
obvious
not
reasons.
vegan. Yeah. If you can find it, Bailey's does make an almond cream.
Yes.
But none of the liquor stores around us carry it.
No,
so.
we haven't tracked it down yet.
Yeah.
Yeah. So we've shifted from Bailey's Irish cream to
Peppermint schnapps. It's good.
in the hot cocoa.
Just a little bit. Yep.
Right.
Just to give it the flavor.
Just to give it that holiday cheer.
Road cocoa.
Road cocoa. So yes, the road cocoa tradition.
Yeah.
I absolutely love. We have kept I know that there's a package of those cinnamon rolls waiting for us to bake up on our Christmas morning.
Right.
You know, so we know that that's going to happen, and there will probably be I'm trying to think. We usually do coffee on Christmas morning.
We do coffee and poinsettias.
Oh yes, poinsettias.
Yeah.
We have to get the stuff for the
We
poinsettias.
have to get stuff for poinsettias. If you're not familiar, poinsettia it's like a mimosa, only instead of orange juice, you use cranberry
juice.
Yeah. And I love them. I prefer them over mimosas any day.
Yeah, they're beautiful. So,
and they're pretty.
Yep. So champagne or Prosecco or Asti.
Yeah.
any
Or
of
even
those
just
will
a
work.
sparkling grape juice.
Any sparkling grape juice would do it if you're not consuming alcohol.
Yep.
And just add a little bit of cranberry to that.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah. So those are just some of our traditions, old and new. Mm-hmm. And I want to hear what everybody else's traditions are. So drop us a line and tell us if you have any like fun different family traditions that you guys do at the holidays. I'd really like to know. Drop us a line at our email address. It's compassionandcucumbers@gmail.com. Check out our website. Don't forget to check out our website, www.compassionandcucumbers.com. We're still holding a fundraiser for Mockingbird Farms Animal Sanctuary, and they could use a little extra help. They took some damage a couple of days ago. We had a very bad windstorm. They had trees come down, crushed a horse trailer. They're out of power. They think it'll probably be 3 days or more before they get power turned back on. So they could use a little extra help. And we're doing a fundraiser for them at our Buy Us a Coffee site. It's buymeacoffee.com/cucumbers. And I think that's it as far as housekeeping. We'll have one more episode before the holidays.
Yes.
So I hope you're all enjoying December and your wind up to the holiday season. Thanks for listening, and tune in next Tuesday to hear us talk about
we're going to
something else.
Nice. No, next week we thought we would talk about how, along with the crazy hustle and bustle of celebrations of the end of year holidays, I think most of us also manage to find a little bit of downtime and a little bit of time for ourselves, a little bit of time for reflection and you know, just giving our brains and our bodies a little bit of a break from the chaos of everyday life.
Right. So we're going to talk about some of those things that we do to
some of the things that we do,
recharge.
Stuff that we're reading, stuff that we're watching,
a
couple of exciting projects that are coming up in the new year, et cetera, et cetera. So,
all right. Well, thank you so much, everybody, for listening, and we'll see you next Tuesday.
Happy holidays.
Bye-bye. If you'd like to support the Compassion and Cucumbers podcast, you can go to buymeacoffee.com/cucumbers and buy us a cup of coffee. Thanks so much for listening and for supporting us in what we're doing. We're really having a good time with it.